Hi, family. Well, I just got another message from close friends of ours about one of their relatives who has been given 3 weeks to live with cancer. So they sent him home to die, and he's 47 years old, which is exactly how old I am now. You know, these things really hit home, and I get them all the time. And, you know, it makes me sad. Normally a happy guy, so forgive my tone here for a little bit. But I was thinking, you know, man, what if this were me? What would I do? So I wanted to share this video with you. If somebody told us, my family, that I had 3 weeks to live, go home and get on hospice, what would I do with liver cancer, colon cancer that has spread to my blood? What would I do, knowing all that I know about this? Now, just so you know, I've had a very close friend go through brain cancer, and he died. Anyways, 6 years after the diagnosis. I've had an even closer friend have testicular cancer, and he completely beat it by doing things that I'm going to share with you in a little bit. I've had a patient come in that was given 8 weeks to live. She did what I told her, and she is here almost 4 years later doing great. And I've also had somebody come in that was given less than a month, and she did everything I told her to and died anyway. I will tell you, in her case, the situation was worse because of the lifestyle she had been leading. The lady that survived, that beat cancer and beat it naturally, she was at least doing some of the things right before we met. So the first thing I want you to understand when you get into this situation where you're given 3 weeks or you're given 6 months or whatever, they don't know that. I mean, they're not God. And neither do I. But I can tell you that what I've seen for sure is that people build up momentum going into this whole thing. So for example, if you're eating a bunch of fast food, you don't exercise, and you smoke and you drink a lot and that kind of thing, well, you're going to be sprinting down this cancer death highway or cancer death track. You know what I mean? You're running that race as fast as you can into cancer. Versus somebody that has had a clean lifestyle, you know, they're organic eating, they eliminate toxins from their house. Anything that sort of promotes a healthy environment, maybe they're taking some vitamin D, those people are going to be running that race slower. So that lady that survived, you know, she was given 8 weeks to live. She was already doing the things that she knew how to do, but she didn't understand the really big stuff, important stuff. She was eating clean and that kind of thing. That's one reason why I think that the momentum didn't kill her. This other lady, she was just eating terribly, really bad advice from the people she was talking to, and we just couldn't get on top of this momentum, and it killed her. So what happens is, understanding what the cancer is doing is, I think, paramount. The cancer cells are in there. They want to eat, and they want to turn everything they can into sugar. That's their only fuel. That's their primary fuel source. You could even take away nerve supply from cancer cells. They can take away fat, protein. They just want a whole bunch of glucose or fructose, any type of OS going into your bloodstream. They're going to suck that up. They have 5 times the amount of insulin receptors as a normal cell, if you know anything about that. Anyway, they're just craving sugar. And they'll even turn muscle tissue into sugar. They'll turn fat into sugar. So that's why you see people sort of get emaciated later on in their cancer journey. It's because these cancer cells have spread so much, and they're turning everything into sugar. Now, technically what kills somebody, it's not like the cancer cells themselves are poisonous. What happens is these cancer cells, when they reproduce and make new cancer cells, so when the tumors are growing or it's spreading throughout your blood or whatever, when a cancer cell divides and makes a new cell, the host cancer cell doesn't die off. Whereas a normal cancer cell, or a normal healthy cell, when it makes a new baby cell, it dies off. Well, the cancer cell, when it splits and makes a new baby, and the host doesn't die off, you just wind up making more and more and more of these cancer cells, and they just start eating everything. So when all these cancer cells are growing and growing, and there's momentum, and they keep growing and dividing and eating everything, what kills the person is ultimately starvation. So the person dies. Oxygen and nutrients don't get to the brain, and eventually, boom. So when these cancer cells are growing so much, they're out of control. So a tumor in a colon, the tumor itself isn't directly killing you. It's indirectly killing you because it starts eating up all the nutrients throughout your body. So that's sort of a very basic understanding of how cancer actually kills somebody. So wouldn't it make sense, wherever the tumor is, wherever the cancer is, let's at least try to starve it. So if I got diagnosed, the first thing I'm doing, because I want to live, I've got a 7-year-old, I've got an awesome wife, I've got an awesome life, I've got a lot of people around that I love, that love me. I would starve the cancer cells. I would cut out absolutely anything. I would go so hardcore just because I want to live. Okay, a beer every now and again? Nope. Any alcohol? Nope. Bread, pasta, rice? Nope. Fruit, even apples, oranges, that kind of thing. Your body's going to turn that into sugar. It's sugar the second it hits your tongue. Those are all going to feed cancer cells. And I was thinking about how hardcore would I really go? Well, this is exactly what I would do. I would buy all the organic celery that I could get my hands on and juice it. I would throw extra minerals into the juice, extra trace minerals. I would squeeze some lemon in the juice. So I would use a juicer, not a blender. I'm not going to, you can't, blending is fine, and eating the celery is great, obviously, but there's a lot of fiber. You could eat 4 or 5 stalks of celery, but you can juice 15 of them. And then I would throw 4 or 5 teaspoons of cracked cell chlorella into the celery juice. And that is what I would live on. That's it. No cheating. No nothing else. So as I'm sitting there thinking about that, that's pretty hardcore. But what that's going to do is make it very hard for the cancer cells to survive. So the ones that are in there, I just want to starve them so that they are, so they die off. Because if you're not feeding them, obviously they're going to die. If you're into any of the alternative cancer therapies, like the Gerson therapy, I think they do celery, Granny Smith apples, and carrots. Well, I would just go with the celery. Why not? Take out any and all sugar. So that's what I would do to starve the cancer cells, because that would kill them. It's not like you could take something to directly kill a cancer cell without killing your own cells. I don't know if anything like that exists. Vitamin D doesn't directly kill a cancer cell, but it does penetrate the cancer cells and activates a gene that causes the cell to go through a normal life cycle and die off. So I would load up on vitamin D, but if you think about what vitamin D is not directly killing the cancer cells, it's causing the cancer cells to go through its life cycle and die off. So those are 2 things. I would straight up celery juice, a whole bunch of it. We're talking as much as it takes to fill me up. Squeeze half a lemon in there in each glass, and then we're talking a big mason jar, and 3 or 4 teaspoons of cracked cell chlorella per day, maybe even 1 teaspoon per juice. That would really give you a good chance of starving these cancer cells. You're going to be hungry, of course. These cancer cells are going to be dying off, but I'd be willing to bet that no matter if you have 3 weeks to live or 8 weeks to live, if you just did that, you're going to at least live longer. You're going to give your body a really good chance of overcoming this thing. Now, that's not just celery juice. You've got to make sure your brain is connected to your body. That's where the proper advanced chiropractic techniques come into play, where you go to somebody who's focused on keeping your spine flowing. So that would be right up there with starving the cancer cells. You've got to get your brain where it's fully connected to your body so that it can communicate. It can organize things and process the celery properly, process your white blood cells, which are trying to kill these cancer cells. All the different aspects of how your body normally gets rid of cancer. You want your brain connected to your body so it can do that. And thirdly, I would sweat. I would be getting in the infrared sauna 2 to 3 hours per day. And however long it takes you to sweat, from when you start sweating, that's when I would start the timer. 2 to 3 hours per day. So you're going to flush things out of you. That's why I would be just drinking this juice all day, every day. And that's what I would do, period. I wouldn't go off and do any of these other therapies without doing those things first. There's, there's machines you can get hooked up to. There's ozone therapies. Those are, and a lot of these things are great. I'm not going to discount them. But if you don't do those very basic things first, where you're starving the cancer cells, it's not going to matter. It literally won't matter. I've seen people go do ozone therapies, but they keep doing a whole lot of fruit, or they keep, they haven't changed their eating habits, or they're not sweating. You got to get the basic things. You get your body really cranking. So that's just 3 things about what I would do, and then I want to end on this note. Your body doesn't quit fighting things like cancer or inflammation in your arteries, heart disease, and Alzheimer's. Your body just isn't programmed to let you die from those things. So if you don't understand that, or if you don't believe it, then it doesn't matter. I mean, your faith is placed somewhere it shouldn't be. If you cut my hand right here with a piece of paper, my body heals that cut. Your body would heal that cut. The same power, the same organization, the same innate ability that you have to heal a cut on your arm, that same power is trying to save your life from cancer. It's not programmed to let these cancer cells develop and starve your body so that you die. And in fact, if anything, it's programmed so that you don't die from cancer. So understand that is still happening. Your body doesn't give up. It hasn't given up. So if you're watching this video and you've been diagnosed, you've been given no hope, that's not God talking. That's something else. Now, yes, you may have done this to yourself. You may have, misbehaved for 20 years and 30 years. And, there's laws of your body. God gave us laws. And if you've broken those laws so much that, you're out of time. There's a principle of time. All things happen with time. And I know God could snap his fingers and take this away. Unfortunately, that's not how it works physically. He gave us these rules. He gave us rules like gravity. He gave us rules like cancer. In fact, if you really understand how cancer develops, it's a survival mechanism of your body because you've been misbehaving. Now, maybe it's a baby. That's terrible. I mean, a kid getting cancer. Well, sadly, the misbehavior would have started with the mom. And it may have been generational. Things like heavy metals in the bloodstream, in the tissues, those can take generations. You could pass it on from mom to baby to mom to baby to mom to baby. And, it's a bad cycle, and it sucks. But just know that, your body doesn't give up. So to that end, let's say that I get diagnosed and I've got 3 weeks and I do all this stuff. I'm going to spend those 3 weeks making sure that everybody that I know understands that they need to start acting now to prevent this cancer thing from taking us. So that's my tip for the day. Sorry for the melancholy tone, but it's not easy, and I hate seeing people suffer. And part of the suffering is ignorance. People just don't know. They fall into this trap and they get told that chemo and radiation is the only way to go, and that's just a bunch of bull crap. Remember, drugs are bad, God is good, so are you. Your body doesn't quit. It's the only one you've got. Take care of it. Love you. Talk to you next time.